please?
For which movie?
Rachel Zegler decided to post a video of herself in a theater. I think she bought that ticket right there. Look at this. Look at this face. What can be said about this level of narcissism?
Rachel Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
No one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie.
I don't think they're gonna buy it. I don't think they're gonna watch it. I don't think they're gonna like it. But you don't seemingly like your own character, so she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
The star, Rachel Zegler, is unbelievably charmless in public.
Rachel is literally the star of a Disney movie, and she acts like she's some sort of victim, and that's the sort of mentality that is just poisoning people's minds. Like, she acts like her life is so bad.
This truly is the worst casting, maybe, in the history of the film industry.
They spent $170 million to make the thing, and it had the lowest opening, under $50 million, of any of these live-action Disney remakes that they've ever had.
And, you know the saying, go woke, get broke, and Disney's going to lose money on this movie. And I believe it only made less than $1 million in China.
If Disney wants to make more woke films that tank at the box office, they are more than welcome to do that, but maybe think of an original idea.
I truly do believe that. There's something wrong with her. She's disturbed, she's unhappy, and she thinks it's about feminism and the patriarchy and about abortion. But the reality is she's just not stable, like the majority of people in Hollywood. They're just not stable human beings. I would highly advise that you boycott this film, no matter how much your children love Snow White.
Rachel Zegler's Snow White was supposed to be a magical revival of one of Disney's most beloved fairy tales. Instead, it turned into an absolute disaster, not just at the box office, but in the court of public opinion.
A dude said $45 million production is looking at a domestic gross of less than $10 million. They lost $35 million making this movie.
But they still got
If
the
I
rest
saw
of the
this
year.
movie on a
That's what
plane,
it's
I
expected
would
to do.
still walk out.
Damn, trailer makes me want to sit on the TV and look at my couch. I paid nothing to watch this trailer. I already want my money back. Damn.
He said,
Is that a threat? Damn.
Hey, what did they say? Go woke?
Should have made her CGI. Damn, Mud Brown and the... Damn. That was crazy. When I turned my monitor off, damn.
That's bad, man. Yeah.
The movie didn't. Just struggle. It became one of Disney's biggest financial flops in years. But the real story here isn't just about the numbers. It's about how Zegler herself became the face of the backlash. Audiences didn't just reject Snow White. They turned against her. Social media is in chaos. The memes are brutal, and some are calling this the biggest misstep of her career. But how did a rising star, once celebrated for her breakout role in West Side Story, go from Hollywood's next big thing to one of the most divisive figures in entertainment? Let's break it all down. It all started long before the movie even hit theaters. In 2023, when Disney first announced that Snow White was being remade, reactions were mixed. Some fans were excited to see an updated version of the classic film, while others were skeptical, especially when details about the new direction started leaking. However, things took a major turn when Rachel Zegler started promoting the film through interviews. In a now infamous clip, she brushed off the original 1937 Snow White, calling it weird and outdated.
I know that you've told me before that your version of Snow White is different, and it's more of a 2022 version of Snow White. What did you mean by that?
I mean, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
She also expressed relief that her version wouldn't focus on a love story, saying, "It's no longer 1937. She's not going to be saved by a prince. She's going to be the leader she knows she can be." That might have sounded good on paper, but it immediately rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Classic Disney fans felt she was dismissing the legacy of Snow White, a film that has been beloved for generations. Others saw it as yet another example of Hollywood forcefully rewriting classic fairy tales to fit modern narratives. And it wasn't just a one-time comment. Zegler doubled down in multiple interviews, making it clear that she had no emotional attachment to the original film. At one point, she even admitted she hadn't watched it in years before landing the Boaz role. For many fans, this was the final straw. The question became, if she didn't respect the story, why was she even playing Snow White? By the time the movie finally premiered, the damage had already been done. The opening weekend was a complete disaster. Instead of packed theaters and excited audiences, fans and critics alike shared photos of empty screenings.
And lo and behold, Rachel Zegler, who is not done posting L's, and it is a remarkable, legendary run of L's that Rachel Zegler has posted, decided to film herself in a theater totally empty, giggling, tee-hee-heeing with total glee.
It sounds like you're one of the only ones there, just like Rachel Zegler, as it turns out, and we part with this video of Rachel Zegler alone in a theater watching herself. One of the most unlikable humans.
That
ever.
is sadder than when the original Snow White eats the apple.
And here's where things get really awkward. Rachel Zegler herself reportedly went to watch Snow White on opening weekend, dragging along a few close friends, only to find the theater nearly deserted. An Instagram story from actress Ilda Mason captured the moment, showing Zegler and her group essentially watching the film in what looked like an abandoned movie theater. When Zegler's name appeared on screen, her friends cheered, but the moment felt painfully forced. At one point, they even attempted to join the viral 2 tickets please trend, a joke where moviegoers pretend not to know which movie they're about to see. The punchline? When they asked the theater employee for tickets, he genuinely had to ask which movie they meant because no one else was there to see it.
Please?
For which movie?
But the biggest humiliation wasn't just the empty seats, it was the numbers. The film only pulled in $3.5 million during Thursday previews, leading to a disastrous $43 million opening weekend. To put that into perspective, Disney's live-action The Little Mermaid made over $95 million in its opening weekend. Even Dumbo, which had a much smaller budget and far less hype, pulled similar numbers. But here's the real issue. This wasn't just a bad opening weekend, it was a catastrophic financial loss. With a reported budget of over $250 million before marketing, the film would have needed to make over $500 million just to break even. Instead, it was dead on arrival. And of course, the internet wasted no time making fun of it. People started posting theater seating charts showing entire screenings with 0 tickets sold. Others joked that Disney should start a GoFundMe to help recover their losses. Even those who wanted to support the film had to admit, the audience just wasn't there. But here's where things take an even darker turn. The movie itself was a disaster,
which gave it a 42% on Rotten Tomatoes, a 1.6 rating out of 10 on IMDb, and a 1.2 rating extreme overwhelming dislike from thousands of user scores on Metacritic. Let's say that you were in a Hollywood movie and the trailer for that movie dropped on YouTube and it instantly became the #1 most downvoted trailer in the history of the platform.
But the backlash against Rachel Zegler became personal. Clips of her past interviews resurfaced, fueling even more outrage. Fans weren't just mad about the film anymore, they were mad at her. Many felt her attitude toward the project was dismissive, even arrogant. The comments she made about not liking the original Snow White and downplaying the romance weren't just seen as personal opinions, they were interpreted as her actively looking down on the story and its audience. This was especially glaring when compared to other actresses who had taken on similar Disney roles. Take Halle Bailey, for example. She also starred in a controversial, live-action Disney remake of The Little Mermaid. But despite some initial backlash about casting, Bailey handled the role with grace. She constantly spoke about how much she loved the original film and showed deep respect for Ariel as a character. In contrast, Zegler's interviews gave the impression that she thought she was above the role. Whether intentional or not, that kind of attitude doesn't sit well with fans, and the internet was quick to turn against her. Then came the memes. People started mocking Zegler for needing sympathy flowers from her friends on opening night. Others took clips of her old interviews and edited them with captions like, "This aged badly." Even casual moviegoers, people who had no strong feelings about Snow White one way or another, began calling her out. And when people who don't usually care about Disney remakes start dunking on you, that's when you know things have gone south. So, what does this mean for Rachel Zegler's future? Hollywood has a short memory, and one bad movie doesn't necessarily ruin a career. But in today's social media-driven world, public perception is everything. If audiences don't warm up to her again, studios might hesitate to cast her in leading roles. At the very least, she may need to lay low for a while before attempting another big franchise. As for Disney, the real question is, will they finally learn their lesson? Audiences have made it clear they're tired of studios reinventing classics in ways that feel forced or out of touch. Snow White might be the tipping point. If Disney continues down this road, it risks alienating even their most loyal fans. But if they take this as a wake-up call, it could be the beginning of a much-needed shift in how they approach live-action remakes. At the end of the day, Rachel Zegler didn't single-handedly destroy Snow White, but she did become the face of its failure. Whether that's fair or not is up for debate, but one thing is certain, Hollywood is watching. Will Zegler bounce back from this controversy, or has she permanently damaged her career? More importantly, will Disney finally start listening to its audience? Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think the backlash against Rachel is justified, or is she just taking the heat for Disney's bad decisions?